Hello and welcome to Sue Meets. So today I'd like to introduce you to my great friend, Sheri Silk. A little bit about Sheri. Well, she's married to Danny and they both live in Sacramento in California. Sheri's an amazing communicator, team builder, organizer, leader, you name it, she's probably brilliant at it. And one of the things that I love about Sheri is her honesty and vulnerability. When Sheri speaks, she speaks her mind with love and honor, and she's so not afraid to show her emotions. And do you know, Sheri, we've been friends for over 11 years. That's crazy.
I love that.
And I'm really honored to call you a friend.
Thank you. I love being your friend. You are, I was just thinking how fun you are to be around. And if you can't have fun with you, then you can't have fun. There's something wrong with me if I can't have fun with Sue Eldridge. And Tim, and we love what you're doing and hanging out with you. And I appreciate you having me on today.
It is such an honor. I really do appreciate it. And so before we go on, is there anything out of my introduction that I left out that you would like to add?
Let me see. Well, probably my biggest role right now in my life is Mimi. I'm the Mimi of the house. And that means that
is.
Yeah, so all my grandbabies call me Mimi. And so not maybe some folks don't realize it, but Danny and I, when we transitioned down to Sacramento, we ended up buying a big house with the farm, and my daughter and her husband and 3 kids, they all live with us because we travel so much, although we're not traveling right now. But I think we have 12 goats maybe, and 20 chickens, and 2 bunnies, and 2 ducks, and 2 dogs. It's a pretty wild place. So yes, that's my role right now. Of course, we're all staying close to home because of this crazy time they're in, but
yeah, and being incredibly industrious during it.
Yes, we're building a garden. I think half of America is putting in a garden. I mean, you go to the home goods stores and they're all open, and they're having record sales, if you can imagine that. Our little landscaping place right next to us said they are having record sales. So yeah,
somebody's thriving. You know, that I'm so pleased there are some businesses that are thriving. That's good.
Yes, yes they are.
So Sheri, apart from Danny, what are you most passionate about in life in general?
Yes, well, I think my passion is pointed at those who are overcoming things. I think that's my deal. I think my family history of my brothers and my, people have heard our story, lots of divorce in our family, and just, so I love a great overcomer story. So my passion really is to, I once was darkness, I am now light. And you mentioned me being vulnerable. I actually hate being vulnerable.
I know, but you do it so well.
If you're familiar with like strength finders and all of that, in my top 5 is a relator, which means not you relate to everyone, but you have a small group of people that you relate to. So you're on my inner circle, Sue. You're in. But and once you get in here, you're in here for life. But I don't naturally go, here, let me show you all my cards. But when I'm speaking, I feel like our story and our life of overcoming, 15 divorces between my mom and dad and stepdad and Danny's mom and dad. There's 15 marriages, and that was what rolled into our life. So we had to make some hard choices. We had to make some decisions. We had to keep going forward, and my family is riddled with drugs and alcohol and all kinds of problems like that. I have 6 brothers, and it was a wild life. And so part of that is that my family was probably upper middle class economically. So we had a lot of problems that were hidden.
Uh-huh.
Because finances and money hides things. It just takes long, because you know when people live in a lot of times in poverty situations, they have a lot of help from organizations and you know, government programs and all that. That means there's eyes on your home, which is, I don't know how you feel about that, but you have systems in place to help you. We didn't have that because we had finances. My parents were business owners and the head of every club, you know, every business club in town, and yet we were very messed up at home. So that part of me is like, if I can share that was darkness and this is the light, and if I can encourage anyone to keep moving forward out of the darkness, to take responsibility for their life, and you know, it's not somebody else that's going to come in and fix it, but you're going to have to do the work, you know. So that's what I'm passionate about, really, is and why I would be vulnerable and open my life up is, hey, you know, Danny's teaching leading leaders. He loves leading leaders, and I love helping the people in the trenches.
That's so good. And I think, you know, people need to know that we've had a story and we've had a journey, and what they often see is you know, not the finished product by any length, especially
right.
with me, but they see a much more finished product, and
Yeah.
you know, yet their lives are where maybe we started from, and they need to know it's attainable. They need to know that even they, in whatever situation they find themselves, you know, can get through. And I think it's so powerful to tell our stories.
I mean, even when we started working at Bethel, and you know, Bill's father passed away, and he preached a message called Enduring Faith. It was the Sunday before his dad died and the Sunday after his dad died, and those are preserved on a, you know, a recording, but he's never going to preach that message again. So for you to get the whole picture of who a person is, they have to be able to show you the path that got them where they are. And even though, you know, when you're talking to the same people, like a pastor talks to people, they don't hear this message, you know, Chris Valentin's Prince and Pauper message or whatever. These were long time ago messages. So when they hire people at Bethel, they actually ask them to listen. They ask them to listen to these messages. And because my experience in my life brings me to either thinking about, like, I'm having an experience and now I have either a truth I'm standing on or a lie. So you go through these experiences, and what are you going to do with it, and how are you going to realize, like, actually that experience made me feel this way, and so now I'm acting out what something else the devil thinks of me, or do I have an experience and change my life and believe the truth of what God says about me? And if we don't remember where we've come from, then how do we change where we're going?
There's a profound statement. It's so true. It's so true. So
You know, in America, I'm sorry.
Go on.
In America, they're protesting, and there's people tearing down national monuments because they remind them of, you know, the oppression of the South, the generals and things like that. And I can't relate to their pain, but I can see why they feel that way. But I'm just concerned that if you forget your past, then you often are going to repeat it. So I'm saying maybe a monument with a statue isn't the right way to remember it, but let's at least remember it. Because I know lots of people that live in the South, and they are not proud of that history. And they will openly talk about how they are not proud of that history. And so they are with you, but we can't it won't go away just because you take down a statue. So let's remember it so that we don't repeat it.
That's very wise. And I mean, that's what, in a way, that's what we've done with the Holocaust. We don't have any big statues, but my life, we are determined never to forget that. And like you say, never to repeat that again. So yeah, that's so true. And I think we all have stories to tell. And Jesus was the best storyteller ever. And
Yeah.
I think we need to just tell our stories and shine the goodness of God in that. So with that in mind, Sheri, what are some of your defining moments in your life, with those moments that change everything? Maybe it's a message, maybe it's something that happened to you, but if you can you share any of those times with us?
Are you asking me to be vulnerable, Sue?
Wouldn't dream of it.
Let me see. I think one in particular, I remember when Danny and I were dating. I'll go way back to that. And we'd both gotten saved when we were 21. And we were sitting at his house on the porch outside. And we'd just gotten saved. And we both had like lots of friends and momentum in the direction we didn't want to go. I had lots of friends that hung out, party, all that stuff. He had the same thing. And we lived in a little town. And I remember sitting there talking to him, and we were both talking about how we do not want to live out the lives of the people around us. Like, we do not want to go in that direction. And making that decision kind of came with the realization that we are going to be alienated and rejected by the people that call us friends. And we were just like, we're going to do it. We weren't married yet. We were just dating, but it was like, okay, we both made that decision. Like, I can look at that road and I don't want it. I don't want to go down it. One of the things that I have overcome in my life is, I say overcome, like you say, everybody's on a journey. This is the point I am right now. But I just had lots of anger. I was just so angry. That was like my emotion of choice. I grew up in a household with 6 brothers, and I don't have a sort of introverted personality. So whatever I do, I'm going to just do it, out loud. And so I didn't shrink back. I learned to fight. I learned to like show up and be, this is part of the solution, is me scrapping with you, So I would bring that intensity to every situation, and I'd bring it with Danny. I'd bring it with any conflict I had. I'm just like, let's go, and trying to get that out of my life. And then this is really silly. I tell the story, but I was watching Oprah. God bless Oprah, and she had a show on child abuse and children that were abused and living in a violent home, And I was watching it. It was just on. I was doing laundry. I think Brittany was probably 6 or 7 years old, and the boys were little. And she's talking. She had all these guests on, and they were describing the behaviors of a person who had been in an abusive, shocked. It was because it was the first time I realized, oh my gosh, I was beat up. I was sexually molested. All these things had happened to me as a child. And the way I survived it was, acting out the behavior of protecting myself, because nobody else is going to do it. If I don't do it, it won't be done. And so I had all these behaviors. And so even though I wasn't, wasn't smacking anybody or any of that, but I was just, it was really my words. So that was a defining moment. Sitting on Danny's porch was a defining moment. I remember getting upset with Brittany when she was probably 8 and realizing I am out of control with my anger at my 8-year-old. And I remember going and sitting and apologizing to her and saying, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna get mad at you like that anymore. And she's 8. She doesn't know what I'm doing. But for me, I knew I am drawing a line in the sand that I will not cross again. And I am on a path to get all of that out of my life. And it's a process, and anger and acting out anger is still an option always. But like I just don't even have it in me anymore to get that angry and that upset. But those were all defining moments, just it's up to me to change my path. Jesus is helping me. That's what I love about Jesus is people walk away from him all the time, and then they turn around and he's right there because he never left them. Even they don't have to work their way back to Jesus. He's like, I never left. You left me. I never left you. So he's there always, but we still have to do work, and patterns and behaviors have to change.
I love your defining moments.
Yes.
And it's crazy that you can look back, like you sitting on the porch, and all it was just this little conversation you have, but something changed that changed everything.
Yeah.
I love those. That's why I love that question. I love to know those, because to me, it almost defines the way you live, and it defines the way you go in and everything. So thank you for being vulnerable with me. I won't tell anybody else.
Okay, good.
It's just between us, really.
Right.
So maybe you've answered it, I don't know, but looking back over your journey, what are some of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn, or the hardest parts that you've had to walk through? Or has it been a bed of roses, Sheri?
Yes, it's just always so easy. I think some of the issues where I was mad at I blamed, I should say, my stepdad for a lot of, who is almost 91 years old now. My mom died 22 years ago from cancer, and that was another defining moment, deciding that I still love Jesus and believe in the power of healing, after watching that. But I just blamed him. I blamed him for, because he was the obvious, bad guy in my life. He had a temper problem, and he would throw things around and use his fists and hands to hurt as I grew up. And then I think what I realized was, as I got help after the whole Oprah moment, I joined a group. Really, I thought, even though I'm married to a counselor, I thought people that went to counseling they must be weak. Those people, they just must have something especially wrong that they have to go to a counselor, Yeah. And so I kind of reluctantly went to this group around codependency, and I was there a year. Tuesday night for a year. No matter where Danny was on the planet, he got home on Tuesday night. And I went in there reluctantly, thinking, these people are weak. And then within seconds, I knew I was exactly like them. Mm-hmm. And that group really helped me understand that even though I had been mad at my dad for years, because my mom and dad divorced when I was 1, I was mad at my stepdad for years. I realized it was my mom's decisions as well. She kept us in the situation we were in, and because it was her 3rd marriage and she didn't want to go through that again. So it helped me realize that we just label people. Even as children, we grow up and we think certain thoughts, and they stay with us into adulthood. And so really that paradigm of, okay, my mom was trying to survive as well. My dad was trying to survive marrying a woman with 4 kids, and he had 3. And so it's like realizing they weren't trying to mess us up. And I do think even abusive parents are on a journey. You know, it's a horrible one probably, but you know, my parenting life and my real life parallel. So I'm giving my kids the best me I have right here. I wish I was giving them the one person I am here, but this is where I was. So I'm trying to give you the best me. And that's what I realized about my parents, was just that they're doing the best job they know how to do. I'm not saying, I think there are definitely, you know, circumstances that don't fall into that. I think there are horrible situations and children are being victimized and all of that, abused. And I am all the way for turning people in that are abusing their children. I have no problem if a woman is being abused that she should call 911. Absolutely. Do not hide that stuff. But I also think in general, parents are trying to do the best job they can. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That, I mean, I've heard parts of you share that story before, and I mean, I think the courage that journey must have taken for you, you know, to, because it's one thing to be faced up with it, it's one thing to hear it, but then to actually, because that must have been at times like a daily, minute by minute choice, you know, choose. That's amazing. Well, are you being vulnerable again, Sheri?
I know. Well, it's funny because my dad is in a residential home now, and I just went and got him. He's, you know, because of the whole lockdown, he has not left his little house he's in a residential home, but I think it's like 80 days or something. So I went and got him, and it's just so funny the history we have, and yet he depends on me, you know. So I just letting him out of the box, forgiving him and letting him be who he is, and with all of his history, you know, as well.
That's huge. That's huge. I guess it's the grace of God in you. You can then show that grace and mercy to him. So wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So hopefully this will be a less vulnerable question for you.
Okay.
So, and that is just, so what are your hopes and dreams for the future? We've sort of heard part of your journey. What does the rest of Mrs. Silk's look like?
You know, I have been dreaming and thinking about, I love to talk about both sides to a story. You know, there's a lot of things going on in our world today, and there's two sides to the story, right? And so I have been connecting with people that are very different than me, and talking through. They think differently, they look differently, their skin color's different than mine. And I'm just like, I want to look you in the eye. I know I love social media for the reasons why you can connect and talk. And, you know, that's how you and I talk often, is through Facebook message. And I love all that. But it also gets really weird because I can say whatever I want without the consequence of looking someone in the eye. And so it's been fun to get together. So I'm actually been brewing maybe a podcast idea of just collecting people that think differently and talking to them and having them share the two different sides of the coin. That's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. I'm also starting, we had talked earlier about Loving on Purpose is our ministry, and we have a partner program. We're a nonprofit, but we've never really gone after, you know, partners and donors and all that. But we are starting a program to get the Loving on Purpose resources of healthy relationships and healthy parenting styles into the places that are dark and scary and that need the most help, which is my heart is to get our materials into prisons
Wow.
and into drug rehabs and even orphanages. And so I've been working with a couple of folks that they've spent 20 plus years in prison, and their lives were transformed. They ended up getting out of prison, and they were really changed by messages of loving on purpose, the keep your love on stuff. So the thing about prisons is they can't get on the internet for obvious reasons. And so you have to bring all your materials with them, DVDs and papers they can make copies of. And so taking all of our stuff and off the internet and making physical products and really working on a 52-week curriculum for prisoners and drug rehabs. I'm hoping to launch it by the end of the year, this year. So a lot of it we have done, but we have to put it in the right format. And then Loving on Purpose, of course, has an international impact, but we are starting some local expressions. So taking the Define the Relationship class and the parenting class and the Danny, even not everybody knows this, but Danny wrote an anger management class for domestic violence offenders. And so we're kind of revamping that material as well. And there's just, I just want to create stuff that helps people. And what I love is there's a lot of ministries that people just got out of the problem themselves. They found Jesus. They got out of the problem. I quit doing drugs and now I want to help people. But they're often orphaned ministries because they are so much work for the church. The church will donate money, but they don't really it's hard to embrace them all because they come with all sorts of problems. So having Loving on Purpose have this sort of umbrella to those ministries where they can come together and we can grow them as leaders. We can help them set up their nonprofits. We can get their cash flow stuff. We have resources of friends that know how to help them, and just creating this umbrella for them to come under. I don't want to be responsible for all of them. I can't, but I can give you resources and have you meet each other and grow your ministry. So it's sustainable, not on just your own efforts, but by a team of people working together. So that's one of my biggest dreams right now.
That's an amazing dream. That is, because what you're doing is you're empowering other people to do what's on their heart, but you're just able to equip them. And that is so exciting. So exciting. Yeah. So if people want to partner and give to that, lots of people think, I'm passionate about that. I can't do it. I haven't got anything to offer, but I want to sow into that. How can they do that, Sheri?
Yeah, my goal is to get 3,000 people to donate $100 a year is my first goal. And so on the lovingonpurpose.com, there's a donate partner button, and it's just as easy as that. And we use the money to get the materials, print books and all DVDs burned and all that stuff and packaged. And I have a friend that she's an ex-convict, and she will speak to 26 prison chaplains all at once in a meeting and say, my life's been changed by Jesus and these materials. And those chaplains are like, come. So she's in Texas, but she has access to Louisiana. And so my dream is really to get it in every prison system in our country. For sure. That's one of my dreams, is to partner with us for $100 a year, basically.
I think that's definitely doable. And what an amazing thing. That's the wrong word, but thing to give to. Cause. I knew there was a word. That's fantastic, because that's actually going to completely transform your nation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Well, and we have inmates that are getting out of prison. They're And so to do the work inside
Exactly.
and come out transformed rather than having to do it when you get out. And so it's really, there's a whole bunch of people in prison that shouldn't be in prison. Our prison system is broken. It's just broken. So, you know, let's help them shore up themselves and transform their lives and come out and be a different person, a different citizen, a different parent. That's what I want to do.
I love that. I'm so excited, and I'll make sure that when I post this, we'll put the details of the Loving on Purpose site. And just before we go, Sheri, I don't know, do you travel? Do you do itinerant ministry? I can imagine a women's conference with you would be absolutely amazing. Is that something that you do, that people could invite you?
I do. We're not traveling too much right now, but I definitely take invitations, and that's all on our website as well. You and I talked about doing a conference together.
We did.
That would be fun.
Wait till this lockdown finishes, and maybe we should do it.
I would love that.
I'll tell you what would be more fun, Sheri. Doing like a tour, like an American and European tour.
Wow. That would be fun.
It would be fun. We just need, how many invites do you think we need?
10.
Oh, okay, 10. Yeah, 10.
10 would be a good start.
So there you go. After everybody's watched this, we'll be inundated.
I'm ready. My bags are packed.
Fantastic. Well, Sheri, it has been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Okay. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I will see you next time. Bye.